All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr. McLogan, and this is Open Live Q&A, where I go ahead and answer your questions. And I do apologize, I forgot actually to slip on or to connect to this live stream, so I immediately just went live, I think randomly on my channel. Whatever, I'll have to take it down later. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me this evening, and I'm definitely looking forward to answering some of your questions. I think I got maybe like 9 or 10 that are submitted, and if you did not get a chance to pre-submit your question, you can always do that. You guys can see the pinned comment there, in this chat that you can go to each and every week, and I will go ahead and take a look at your questions and try to see if I can do my best every Sunday night at 9 p.m. If you do have some questions or you're just joining on to the live stream, I also will try to see if I can get some questions in from the chat from you guys, but that's kind of always like has time kind of has allowed from there. So definitely looking forward to it, and good to see many of you guys on. I did also wanted to let you guys know, what I'll do is I'll talk to you guys also about what is this last chance that I am referring to. So before I get into that, oh, man, thank you so much, Christy. Right on top of the ball. And actually, let me go and double check. I think last time, I always like to communicate with you guys beforehand. I didn't want to do this just as subscribers. Yeah, let's get anyone in there. But a lot of times once I do the math, then what I'll do is I'll add that on there for any use. Yes, spammers, come on, guys. Let's see. Come on. There we go. Yes. Hey, everyone. Oh, no, this. But also saying, yeah, no spamming. We don't need that, right? So 9,000 more subscribers for a minute. Well, thank you very much, Macy. Yeah, and that's actually the kind of the purpose that I want to get into. So I'll get into that into just a second. But I wanted to say hi to Lewis and Rachel. How do you stay motivated with math? Very difficult. I think you definitely got to keep things in smaller chunks from there. And so I'm asking for some questions. I think just doing a lot of practice. You really, really need to make sure you're asking questions and getting help. But then also just asking a lot of questions is going to be very important as well. And AK21 says the pre-calculus harder than calculus. It could be. It really depends on, I think, a lot of the basics. I think some students, when they do really well in pre-calculus, they realize that calculus is a breeze. And then a lot of students, sometimes that they might be able to get by in pre-calculus, and then really calculus is the course that really kind of takes them for a loop. So I think it kind of depends on your preparation for either or both of the courses, as well as maybe your instructor as well. That can definitely play a big impact as well. Well, happy so much to be able to help you out, Franklin. Thank you so much. And hey, Letitia, good to have you on. And very happy to help you help you, Jeremiah. Very well. And Charles, I am doing great this evening. Very, very well. I'm looking forward to another week and getting things rocking and rolling. So I've been making some videos. I got some more content that is coming out. If you guys have noticed that I'm doing a little bit more of my shorts. Didn't want to release them for a while, but then YouTube has kind of made some changes. So I am looking forward to just producing some more content. And I've really wanted to make a lot more content. That's one of the things that's really kind of been hitting me hard, is kind of the lack of content that I've been able to really kind of produce. But there is, I'm definitely looking to making some more of that coming up on my channel. And so hopefully you guys will, it'll be helping you guys out. I think you just got to do practice problems. I've talked about cheat sheets, creating those, doing some practice problems, reviewing your notes. There's a lot of great benefits to all that. Yes, you can definitely go and submit the question, brianmclogan.com/Q&A. Or also, if you have not already checked or gone to my Discord server, I would highly recommend going to the Discord server. There's some amazing people answering questions just that yourself. And also, I always recommend anybody else that's asking a question to help somebody out with their question. It is a community that's built on people helping other people with their math. So just don't go there trying to get questions. Help other people out with their math, and you might just figure out that, hey, actually helping people with their math is making me a better math student in its own right. So we're all at different levels. Doesn't matter what type of questions. Don't think you're stupid or you shouldn't ask a question. Everybody one at a time as well, right? So just because you're at a different level and you see people, that are in like Calc 3 or linear algebra, it doesn't matter, right? We've all had points where we didn't understand something at some point. So that's why the Discord server is out there so people will feel comfortable being to ask the questions and not being a judgment, right? It's not like your teacher or your friends inside your class are going to make you feel stupid or that you should already know this, right? It's there to learn and to get help and to help others. Um, do. Why you quit? Yes, that was a video. And here, Araf, how are you? I don't know what I'm gonna do. Oh, okay, let's get it through there. That's much better. Can I do it like that? Yeah. Let's go from there. Let me see. How do I I'm trying to get back into there. All right, I got to get into a question. You guys are asking a lot of questions going through. Yes, correct. I can if you want to go and spin it over. But again, I'll probably not. We have quite a bit of questions to go over there, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to this. And Army, I can definitely agree. I definitely can understand from on there. Just you got to keep on putting in the work. Okay, keep on putting in the work. You can do this. Well, thank you, Cabrera. Very happy to help you out. Let's see. Well, thank you very much, Salvador. I really appreciate that. And you're very welcome, John. Algebra 2, yes. A lot of times Algebra 2 will intrude. It didn't used to, but it's kind of gotten a little bit more popular from on there. And hey, Jellyfan 3. Let's see. And there's a lot of questions. I guess this is when I went ahead and changed things from to anyone instead of subscribers. Get a lot more questions coming through. Oh yes, look at you guys even have a tutor right now on Discord. It's awesome. Is arithmetic? I don't know. To be honest with you, I think arithmetic and geometric sequences or series, are really about the same. It's when you start getting into ones that don't fall into that category. I think that's where it kind of gets a little difficult. It's like finding the rules and all that kind of stuff. But between those two, I mean, it's really just kind of understanding which one you're dealing with and then following the formulas and the patterns that you have. Why is math required subject if we have calculators? Well, not math is just calculations, right? And I think that's one of the points that, we don't learn math just so we can calculate. There was a time that math was brought just to calculate things, calculate the areas, and all that kind of stuff. But now really math is, it's really like this ability to really understand and the foundations of how things are interconnected and what we are built upon. And also like a thinking structure, to be able to, justify and go through like, our understanding of why things are like making sense, like even solving equations or understanding the models that, that we rely on. And so I think that just having some I'm not a really big fan of the applied, mathematics just in general, but there's a lot of great application. And again, that all came from our understanding of mathematics. So it's not just about calculations. Cause yeah, obviously if that's all we had to learn math for was just to calculate numbers and blah, 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 then yeah, it'd just be a useless topic. But obviously once you learn more mathematics, what you start to see is, holy crap, it's like the more you learn, the more you realize the more you don't know. And that's the kind of scary thing about mathematics. I remember that time when I was learning about it. And I remember I was like in college, and again, I just have a bachelor's in math, so it's not even that high of a math degree. But I remember there was a point where I was like, holy crap, there's so much that I've learned, and now I just realized there's so much more that I have no idea about. And that was like the scary point of it, And so and it's kind of difficult because everybody's at different levels and you can only go as far as you can go. But I think that the understanding of, I don't think we should be teaching math just for like always real world application, because then that's what everybody's going to just want to have is like, oh, it has to, if it doesn't always automatically apply to a real world, application, then why am I learning it? Right. And, we can justify that with a lot of different subjects that we learn, a lot of different things that we learn and that we go through from there. So I think really the important thing is the building a foundation of understanding like the thinking and modeling and predictions with mathematics and the beauty of mathematics and how it builds up so much of our systems and how we can use mathematics to understand the world around us is a much better of a way to perceive mathematics rather than just a calculator, right? All right, so now I got to go and catch up on all those because I answered all the questions. I don't know. I'm usually here for like 30, 45 minutes. Or not 30, usually 45 to an hour, for around there. Well, hey, Logan. I have never been to the Philippines, John. Well, awesome, Jamie. Congrats to you. That's awesome. Currently, I am not teaching bodybuilder. I have actually retired from the classroom this year. But I did teach everything from Algebra 1 through Calculus before. I have one bad grade in my math class on exam 35 because the teacher does not teach. I studied on the Alex for 12 hours and dropped my grade from 9 to 71. Any tips? Yeah, it kind of sucks. Like I understand, it's like one grade brings on your grade like so much. I think I'm hoping and assuming by the end of the semester, you'll have more and more grades that will balance that out. I think right now I'm assuming that grade is really heavily weighted, but obviously, it really kind of depends on the grading system, and making sure that grade can be balanced out, with other grades, as well as looking at the, any kind of possibility to be able to improve upon your grade or adding some extra points from there. So, that's what I recommend. Obviously, I know, a low grade like that is definitely going to bring down your overall grade, but I think you got to think of how can I add more points to my overall grade to negate as much of that lower score that I got, as well as if there's any opportunities to improve that grade, or show your mastery on that. I love calculus. Yes, do your work and do your homework. Ask questions. Basically the exact same thing for grade, 11 as anything else. Count down. What day? Yeah, maybe one day. I got to go and I definitely got to go build up my library for sure. The extraneous solutions, all an extraneous solution is just a solution that satisfies a second equation, but it doesn't satisfy the original equation. So when we say like extraneous solutions, it just means it proves a secondary solution, but it doesn't prove the original equation. I wish I had an example like off the top of my head that I could show you. But typically it's, but typically, like for instance, when we have like a rational equation, right? And what we do in rational equations, usually want to get those to be a non-rational, right? With no denominators. And then we can solve it. And then let's say it's a quadratic and we have and we'll have maybe two answers. Well, one of those answers might not be a solution to the original answer because it makes the denominator equal to 0. So it'd still be an answer to the quadratic, but it's not an answer to the originally rational equation. So therefore it's called extraneous. So it's still a solution. It's just an extraneous solution. And there's many other examples, many other functions where this happens. That's just one example from there. All right, let's try to get caught up as much as I can. Well, hello, Christy May. Thank you. I felt a little off. Kind of explained that. I was kind of catching. So I'm at least glad that kind of like at least some of my points kind of hit home from there. I hate when asking questions is viewed as a sign that someone is stupid. I think the smartest and best students are the ones who I completely, absolutely agree with you, Alex. And I think I think it's just that natural thing that, we impose on people for, I think as parents, I think as teachers, I think even as students, it's just kind of like one of those societal things, norms, you could say, that we've kind of developed where we expect people to understand things. We expect and I think you actually hit a really, really good, you actually hit on a really good point, Alexander. I think I got it right. Where do my points go? Do I not have those anymore? I'll write it here. But yeah, I think that's the one thing is like, if you ask questions, are you stupid? And like, the problem is, so here kind of gets to a larger point, right? And that I want to make is, we've perceived this idea that if you ask questions or if you don't get it right the first time, then you're not capable of doing it, or you're not smart, or whatever the case. And that's the same thing. Like, people look at me, they're like, oh my God, you're so smart at math. I'm like, no, I've been a math teacher for 14 years. Like, do you understand how many math problems I've done? right? Do you really understand how many hours I have spent, how many test quizzes that I made the key for, right? Before all of my classes, right? How many different wrong answers I have reviewed in my life from students making mistakes. Like, I know where students make mistakes. I understand their thinking. Like I have done multiple answers over and over and over, not just inside the classroom, but outside the classroom. So of course, if you have not put in that time and then you compare what your work might be to mine, you might be like, oh, it just comes easy to you. And like, no, you overlook all the work that I've put in to my understanding and my examples. And again, I'm just, that's just one solid example. Like, you can apply that to anything, to like acting, to sports, right? To music. People don't understand, like, people think that people all have this natural ability, which yes, there's definitely some components to that. But when you look into the hours that our top athletes, top, performers, they put into their profession, we don't want to talk about all the failures and all the times that they, were wake up early, stay up late, and we're doing all those things. We just want to focus on the performance, right? And we say, oh, look at that great performance. Look how easy they make it look. Like, they're a natural, they're a gift. And this kind of goes exactly to my point, like for the questions. Like, people don't want to ask questions because they don't want to feel vulnerable. They don't want to feel like they are not perfect. And again, maybe not exactly to those words, but I think there's an aspect of that is true for a lot of students. And you're right. That's kind of been a normalized in our society. And yes, Alex, it's a very sad thing, because I think the most important thing is we need to normalize vulnerability. We're all on this journey together about learning. There is no, I'm better than you because I understand this now and you don't understand this, right? We're all on the same level. We're all trying to, understand something, achieve something, get better at it, get good grades, and like have a certain level of understanding to move on. And it's not, while there's, yes, a competition component, right? But it's not this dog eat dog world, I think, for every single thing on here. And I think that's kind of one of the byproducts that is hurting a lot of students, that not just in their education, but, overall and other aspects of their life. Whew. All right. Getting way off chat. Well, thank you so much, Chrissy. I just see your super chat now. I'm using my my live stream thing. So I think I saw the chat coming in from there. So thank you so much for catching in on that. And he says, for study for a final when you don't have a review. Yes, I would go through so back in the day, actually, I used to not give reviews to my students. And kind of for this one point, because what would happen is, and here's actually a good tip. So, don't just rely on your review. The reason why I used to not give students a review is because that's all they do. They just do the review and they're like, okay, I'm ready, And then of course they would do poorly on the exam and they'd be like, I don't get it. Like I understood everything on the review. I studied for 8 hours on this review, reviewing it and practicing it and whatever. And I still did bad on your test, And so I'd have to go up to them. I'd say, you can't just rely on the review to get you prepared for an exam. The review is out there just as kind of like an extra element to help you out. But what I would recommend doing is going through every single quiz that you took, every single homework assignment, all of the notes, every single problem that was provided to you in the notes, go back through them, even rework them if you need to. All the problems that you did in your homework, go back through every single one of those. And if there's maybe something that you struggle with a little bit, do extra problems on there. Right? Really try to refine your understanding. If there's if there's extra problems in the back of the book, try some of those. Do anything that you can do for extra practice, even addition to what has been guided in the class, I think is going to help you prepare for that final. In addition, I would also make sure you take all of your notes and put them on cheat sheets, right? So break them down per chapter for a cheat sheet, and then rewrite all of the processes, theorems, the definitions, and then try to get them down to like one main cheat sheet. And then really that cheat sheet is what you're going to review as you get into the final. Whew, there you go. All right. Luke, what are you expecting? Well, all right. So I didn't even get into the final thing. You guys have just been throwing questions at me so much. So I wanted to get into let's actually get into that. So what is this last chance to submit? Holy crap, I've been talking for 25 minutes. I haven't even got to that. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to get into you because yes, Luca, I am planning on getting to that. Hopefully by this next Sunday. And when I do, I'll have a fun little live stream for you guys. But I did want to let you guys know if, so I talked about this a couple live streams back ago. And I said, hey guys, what I'm going to do, one of the things I want to do as when I cross this threshold is just kind of do a video like featuring some of you that my videos have benefited. And so at that time, I asked for people to kind of submit some videos, and many of you did, and I'm so thankful for all of you that submitted, videos or added comments to that post. And therefore, we'll just kind of put an edit together, and we'll display kind of those as kind of like a fun little, community-driven video for, coming across the 1 million subscribers. However, now that we're in kind of like the last week, I was like, hey, you know what? I only got one more week left, and I really want to kind of just make sure that, that was a long time ago, and I didn't talk about it as much. I just did like a live stream, and that was it. So I was like, well, I should probably do one more live stream, talk about it, let people know if they would like to be able to make a video or a comment, like how they can do it. So it's in the description. I'm actually going to put this in the chat as well. And, oh no. Actually, I can delete that. Hold on. So, you don't need that. And you don't need that. Cool. Awesome. I think that was it. Right. Perfectly. So yeah, so basically there is kind of 3 options for you. You can definitely, once this live stream is over with, you can just go ahead and post a comment. If you want your comment to be able to shown on the video, then go ahead and feel free to add a comment. Again, not in the live chat, but after this live stream is done, then I can extract any comments that are provided on there. You can also, if you don't want to, or you don't have other social media means, and you just want to be able to provide a short little video clip and send it directly to me without actually posting on a social network, you can definitely do that as well. I have a Google form that you can just go and submit whatever kind of video that you'd like to add. And then obviously some other people have always taken it upon themselves to add some videos on TikTok and Instagram, which I didn't add before. And then when I was like, well, hey, thank you so much. I mean, people have already done this on their own. And so I was like, well, I can easily go ahead and collect any videos from there as well. So if that is something you would prefer to do from there. And like I said, it's just anything. I added something on my email, as far as the, what I'm looking for. And it's really just going to be a compilation of user generated videos that you guys are sending over to me to use for this video. So the reason why I said last chance is because, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last week that I'm hoping, crossing fingers, that I'll be crossing the 1 million subscriber mark by then. And woohoo. And so that after that, obviously I'm not going to keep on taking Supreme. Like, I got to make the video by then. And I'm not going to have the video ready by the time I cross the threshold, but I did want to have the video probably within that next week from there, and or leak a wee stacker. So that'll give me some time to edit. So if it is something you're interested in doing, I would greatly appreciate any submissions that you guys want to send over, and then we'll just get a quick little edit and get through things. But please don't make anything very extra long, because everything needs to be edited down to make a video. So just try to keep it short and to the point. And again, I thank you so much, because I'm really happy that many of my videos have helped you guys out. And I really want to just kind of feature some of you guys that want to go. And again, you don't need to be on camera. You can make whatever type of video that you want to. So I really greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to do that for me. And hopefully it's a video that you guys will kind of enjoy, and kind of seeing the different stories from people, all over the world that have improved their math skills, and been kind of part of my journey since 2010. I've been making videos online. So yeah, kind of crazy. All right, we got to get into some math, guys. I've been talking way too much. But I'm like always do. I always want to feel like I got to get into some math. So I'm going to start hitting up some of these questions. Actually, you know what? I'm getting to the math. So I'm going to change this back to subscribers, just to slow down my questions. And then we'll get into math real quick. All right. Okay. Wow, there's a lot. Yes, I do like turtles. Okay. I do not know, but talk to your guidance counselor for that. And all right, I'm going to scrolling through there where I can this. Wow, there's a lot of questions. All right, so I'm sorry, guys, if you posted a question while I was chatting. I'm not going to be able to get to that. Not to get to be able to many of your questions as they go through but I do want to get to all of your questions there. And again, if you guys have a math question, I'm probably not going to be able to get to this. But if you want to go ahead and you can definitely go to the Discord as well as from on there and get some questions help from theirs. Billion subscribers, just trying to go from theirs. And wow. All right. A lot. Oh, thank you, Joe. Got you in there. All right. Getting myself caught up. Okay, there's a lot of questions. All right, cool. All right, guys. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get into the math because I got to get on with this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over. I think actually. Oh, did I have that? I had it up here. I put it in the thing, but you guys can also see it as a overlay. I thought I did as an overlay. Ah, I did, yeah. I don't know if you'd be able to get to my questions, but oh no. Oh, so annoying. There you go. All right. So anyways, if you're interested in posting any of those, that's where you guys can go ahead and check that out. All right. I need to get into some math. So let's go ahead and answer some of the questions that were submitted this week. Got that. Let's switch over to here. Okay, first question says, state the number of complex zeros for the function. So we don't know any of the functions. We could definitely use a graphing utility, but if we just want to know the number, we're not looking for what the zeros are. We just want to know the number, right? And that's the important thing. We're just looking for the number. So if we're just looking for the number, what we could use is Descartes' rule of signs. So to use Descartes' rule of signs, first thing you're going to do is put it in your descending order. So we'll have a 15x to the fifth, let's see, minus 5x to the fourth, minus a 54x cubed, plus an 18x squared, plus 27x minus 9. Okay, so remember Descartes' rule of signs says the number of sign changes minus an even number is the number of positive real zeros. So positive real zero, yeah, I just want to make sure I said that. So one sign change, 2, 3. So we could say the number of positive. Oh, let me just write that. So real zeros. Again, we don't know what they are. We just know the number of positive real zeros is 3 or 1, right? So you take the number of sign changes, which is 3, and then subtract an even number, which would be 2, and then we get 3 or 1. Now, if we want to be able to find the negative real zeros, we're going to do f of negative x. So if we plug that in, again, I'm going to simplify on the fly so we can figure that out. So that's a negative, so that'd be a negative 15x to the fifth. That'd be a positive, so that's a negative 5x to the fourth. That's a negative times a negative would be a positive, plus a 54. X cubed, that's a positive, plus an 18x squared. That'd be a negative 27x minus 9. Okay, so now the number of negative real zeros is 1, right? And you can't subtract an even number. We can't have like negative number of zeros. So now we got to understand the fundamental theorem of algebra, which states that we're going to have the number of zeros, real or complex, is going to add up to 5. Okay, so we definitely have 5 zeros. Now, let's pretend we have 5 zeros. 3 or 1. 4. Wait a minute, something's happening. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's 2. I didn't check my work. That makes sense. Okay. Is 2 or 0. There you go. Okay. So let's go ahead and rework our way. So we could have positive, we could have negative, and we could have complex, right? And that's the question, that's the answer that we're looking for right down here. So the number of positive is going to be 3 or 1. So we could have 3 or we could have 1, right? For the number of negative, we could have 2 or 0. Now again, remember our total number is 5, right? We have to have 5 zeros because that's the fundamental theorem of algebra. It says, fundamental theorem of algebra, we have to have 5 zeros. Okay, so if I already have 3 positive and 2 negative, how many complex zeros am I going to have? 0. If I have 1 positive and let's say 2 negative, right, then I could have 2 complex. And if I had 1 positive and 0 complex, I could do something like that. Then I could also have 4 complex. So the number of complex, we don't know which ones what they are, but we know the possible number are 4 or 2 or 0. And I know this is a very complex topic for a lot of students, and just going through it kind of quickly is probably not doing it much justice, but hopefully this kind of like understands at least the process. You got to find the number of positive, got to find the number of negative, and then you got to find and then you kind of go through all the situations based on the fundamental theorem of algebra. This student asked a question. I'm not really sure what they're asking. What's the biggest problem students get from answering math questions? And I didn't know, I forgot the student's name. I didn't know if they were going to be able to answer that or not. But what's the biggest problem students get from answering math questions? I don't know. I was hoping they were on and I was going to recognize their name, but yeah, I don't know what this question actually was. Question number 3, how do you tell your teacher you don't understand everything they are talking about in a problem? I think one of the main things to, obviously answering a question, and I know that a lot of students can be like, my teacher's mean or my teacher makes me feel stupid. So I definitely think if this is something that you don't feel comfortable talking to your teacher, one, maybe look for another tutor or tutor that you can like feel more comfortable with. And then 2, like if you're, have office hours or staying after school or before school, like trying to find another time that's maybe in a different environment where maybe your teacher might be a little bit more easygoing, like to be able to answering questions. I think that, a lot of times, students have, said I might be hard because I might be, as I'm teaching or something, a question might throw me off or whatever may be the case. And so I think definitely a lot of times when you're teaching on trying to understand things can be confusing and you want that question. All right, Paul, what is my answer? What is the question, Paul? Or where did I go? Let me know where my mistake is and I'll happy to address it. But I think that maybe trying to like, instead of answering questions inside the class, then instead of answering questions inside of in the class, maybe trying to find a different way, from on there. Yes, but the question, well, yes, the complex answers have the real and the imaginary component from there. I'm not sure what thing. All right. So how do you tell your teacher you don't know? Oh, that was a question I did. Okay. Do you have any practice books for SAT and ACT practice problems or just any useful practice links? No, I do not, but I would just highly recommend if you just go online. I've seen many websites that are free, not cost, or even booklets that you can get even at your library or like at secondary. People, once they're done with the ACT, they just basically give them away. Just do as many problems as possible. I think that's the main thing you want to focus on, is trying to knock out as many possible examples as you can do for that. Question number 5 says, why is the parabola and graphing function is related to parabola precalculus, but they seem different from each other? Use different formulas and equations to get the same thing. I can't comprehend their relationship. Hope this will be answered. Not sure so much helping other students. Also, shout out to my countrymen students here from the Philippines. Maybe I watch your lectures all the time. Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be able to help you out. I'm not sure your relationship, which forms you are referring to for the parabola precalculus form, but I'll kind of go through 3 different techniques here. So at least from what my students would be familiar with. So this is what we call, at least in most of my books that we use, it's called the standard form. And then we'd have a y equals a times x minus h quadratic squared plus k. This would be our vertex form. And then there is kind of like the conic section standard form that you can go through. And that would be a y minus k equals a, crap, was it a 4p? 4p times x minus h. Am I still in there? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so those are kind of your three different forms, from that case. And to kind of go through each of there, to go from standard form to vertex form, all you need to do is complete the square. So that is obviously a process that doesn't change the it doesn't change the value of the equation. It's just changing how that process or how you are rewriting that equation. So we're just going to complete the square. If you want to go from vertex to standard form, right, all you got to do is expand and simplify. Okay, so just take the x minus h squared and expand it, and then simplify it down to standard form, and you're basically good to go. Now, from the vertex form, to go from here to here, you can see it's actually fairly simple. All you got to do is subtract the k. Like if you subtract k to the other side, you're done. So what is important here is a is equal to 4p. Okay, so it's the same thing. So a lot of students, what they get, I think, and I'm not sure if this is maybe one of your question you're referring to, but yeah, these are all the same equations, but we do use them for different understanding. For that standard form, right? That's kind of like a very simplistic, way of writing the answer. We have our coefficients, A, B, and C. We have our quadratic, our linear, and our constant. It's a very kind of simplistic way to write the equation. Whereas vertex form is very helpful as far as understanding how the graph is, obviously how to find the vertex, but then also the transformations of the graph, how it's being shifted left, right, up, and down. And rather than using A, which is going to be the vertical stretch and compression and reflection, in the conic section form, 4p is going to represent that distance from the vertex to the focus, as well as the distance from the vertex to the directrix, which obviously for conic sections is going to be another important, some important things to understand. So they're not really, they all are the same, but obviously they all have different their different forms help us use them to understand the equations in different ways, right? But again, to go from standard vertex, you got to complete the square. To go from vertex standard, just expand and simplify. And then obviously conic section is just another reworking way of vertex form. And again, rather than using A, we're using 4p, where p represents the distance from the vertex to the focus. All right. Again, another question. Decide whether geometric or sequence. I'm not sure on this. I mean, it looks like I'm assuming, I don't know, the U1, U2. I'm assuming if this is just your questions here. Oh, yeah, P equals 4 of it. Thank you so much, Pranav. Yes, you're absolutely correct. Thank you. I was looking at that and I was like, that something doesn't, well, yeah. No, wait. Yeah, 4P equals A. Yeah. And then you could say P equals A divided by 4 divided by A. Yeah, because that's right. Crap. Hold on a second. X minus H. Crap. Yeah, you're right. Hold on. Now I gotta, dang it. Now I gotta remember back on this. Hold on a second. Because then I wrote that, because that's your 4P. Hold on a second. Now I gotta make sure I'm not confusing. I had the Y minus K. That was the A. No, that was from this. That was my A equals my 4P. P equals 4 divided by A equals 1 over 4A. It's been a while since I taught this. Now I got to be able to think, what am I doing? Where is my confusion back from there? What did I mess up? Now I got to understand, because that's going to be your Y minus K. 4P equals my A. Now I got to be a little concerned. I didn't even think about it. I just immediately went into this. But now I got to see where my mistake that I was looking for. A equals 1 over 4P. Yes, that is... A equals 1 over 4P. Oh, that's it. Okay. Yes. All right. So the A equals the... Is that how I did it? Yes. Okay. y minus k. Sorry, that's I write it in a different way. So not the 4p there. Yeah, some of the books use it differently. And then, so the way that I had it, that is correct. Okay, so I write it as x minus h. This is the way I did it. Equals 4p times y minus k. There we go. Okay, so that is the way that I have kind of always written it. And like, again, I haven't taught this since obviously last year, so going through, but this is the way I go and write it. So therefore, if you were to look at this in this form, you can see it's just a reverse way. So yes, a, because a, remember, is the coefficient over here, equals 1 over 4p. There you go. That makes sense. I should have caught that earlier, but thank you so much, Pranav, for got to this. That is my E. Well, I'm not sure this is the conic section form that I've been using from that. And yeah, again, you can use it as far as the A or the 4P from there. But I'm not sure what other equation that Pranav you're referring to on that one. But as far as I have from this, that is my form that I've used. But again, you can let me know. I thought you were talking about, the sideways. Yeah, and obviously you can get into the sideways and the vertical, whatever else from in there. But if you're going for the vertical one, that's the way that I've used it. So the 4p was with the y. That's why when you put it over there, it's 1 over 4p. Okay. Just a quick little brain fart. Happens to us all. But that's what you get when you don't go through all your questions. All right, so just remember when you're doing the arithmetic, remember arithmetic is just going to be the common difference, right? So A2 minus A1, right? And when you're doing with a geometric, then you're looking for a common ratio. So that's going to be A2 divided by A1, right? So just remember that kind of major difference. And obviously if these are like your terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see they have a common difference of 1. So therefore it'd be arithmetic. Question number 7, is x squared is the same as the square root. So if we have x squared, is that equal to the square root of x to the 4th power? It's a good question, right? And based on my understanding, it really kind of comes into how we want to interpret these square roots, right? And so if we were to look at this like x squared equals x to the 4th, and we were to introduce the square root, well, then when we introduce the square root, we're always going to want to take the positive and the negative, right? So therefore, we need to make sure we're including both of those values. However, when we have when we are introducing, when we're looking into just taking the square root as it is, like this positive value, then what then typically what we're just going to be intending to looking at is just going to be the positive value of that. And again, a lot of this intention, and again, I'm speaking of an intention rule. So again, it could come into however the problem is being proposed and looking at. But whenever we have dealing with just the square root, like for instance, when I just say the square root of 4, I'm just saying the positive value, or that's at least going to be my intention, is going to be the positive value of just 2. That is going to be simplifying it. We're just looking for the positive solution there, rather than looking in for it could also be -2. So whenever we already have the square root in there, from what my point has always been we are intending or only looking into the positive version of that. However, if it's a difference of introducing, then we need to make sure we include the positive as well as the negative. So in this case, I would say they would be the same, how it's presented. Question number 8 says, find the value constant c and d that make the function below continuous at x equals 4. Okay, so let's say we have no idea what these graphs look like. All we need to know is, again, if they're going to be continuous, right, then let's pretend, I don't know, graph looks something like this, right? And then, we want something like that. Or that's going to be an open circle as well too, won't it? That we close. So let's pretend we're going to have a graph like that. So basically, if this is going to be continuous, we want these to be connected, right? We want these to be connected here. And again, this is going to be actually happening at 4. So actually, I should probably do something like that, right? So that's just going to be a dot there. Okay, so we want to connect here to here. We want to know the value that those two are going to connect, as well as these two are going to connect, right? So what we're going to do is we need to find C and D that is going to make this equation true. So first thing we're going to do is we can say, well, if these are going to be connected at the same y value, then we could say x squared minus 5x has to equal c. Now, right, because c represents this value wherever this is. However, if those are going to be connected, they have to be connected at this point here, which is going to be when x is equal to 4. So we'd say 4 squared minus 5 times 4 equals c. Okay, so we have 16 minus 20 equals c. So therefore, that's going to be a negative 4 is equal to c. Voila. And so therefore, we could actually say this is actually being connected down below. Now, if I wanted to find d, so we already know c is equal to negative 4, but now we can kind of set the same thing. So now I could say, well, negative 4 has to equal a d plus x. Well, again, we want x to be connected at 4, right? So we'd say negative 4 equals d plus 4. And then you subtract a 4, and you get negative 8 equals d. And voila, there you go. Question number... So for question number 9, the student was asking for how did I get 64? And again, like when you're trying to simplify a radical and you have a square root of 128, like once I know that once I know that I have an even number, I always know I can divide by 2. So all I did to get that was I did 128 divided by 2, right? And that equals 64. Therefore, I broke it down into a product of 64. And you can see here, I said, that's 8 times 8, that's 4 times 2. And then what you can do is now you can just take out all of these pairs. Right, and so I have that one, That's another pair. So I got a pair there, pair there, pair there. That would be what, 2, 4. 2 times 4, that's going to be 8. Square root of 2, right? That'd be the simplified version of that because you have that one is going to be left over. And last but not least is question number 10, which is going to be a rule of exponents problem. So you can see here I am multiplying these. So basically you're just going to work from left to right. So let's just work on doing these two first. So if I 10 times 10 to the 1/5, then that's basically going to be negative 4/5. Remember when you're multiplying, you're going to be adding. So that's going to be 1/15. Okay, so let's actually do the fraction over here. So negative 4/5 plus a 1/15. Well, to get common denominator, multiply by 3 over 3. Negative 12 over 15 plus 1 over 15. That's going to be a negative 11 over 15. Okay, so that equals a 10 to a negative 11 over 15. So now I have 10 to the negative 11/15, which is not really mathematically correct how I'm doing this, and then divided by 10 to the 2/3. Now remember, when you are dividing, you are subtracting the powers. So that's equal to 10 to the negative 11/15 minus a 2/3. Okay, so now let's go back again. Let's do some more fraction operations. 11/15 minus a 2/3. What I can do is multiply a 5 over 5. 11 over 15 minus a 10 over 15. Negative 11 minus 10 is going to be negative 21 over 15. So I have a 10 to the negative 21st over 15, which if you wanted to rewrite that as a positive exponent, I could rewrite that as 1 over 10 to the 21/15. So hopefully I did all that correct. And I do apologize. This question was brought in at the very, very end, and I added it. But unfortunately, guys, I have to run for tonight. I will get to this question. I apologize, but I'll get to that next week. Thank you so much again for you guys staying on for this live stream. And obviously, if you... Oh, I left all that up. Oops. Okay. So anyways, look forward to seeing any of you guys' submissions for that. And I look forward to crossing over that next big threshold with you guys, hopefully by next week. So otherwise, guys, hope you have a great week. And I will see you guys next week to take your questions as well as on Discord. Cheers.